So I was just on TMZ, you guys, like the two people that care about the Diddy case on my channel. Nobody cares about the Diddy case. I don't have the right, like, gossipy, like some other YouTubers. And I'm not even trying to have that, but it's like, it makes a big difference. But anyway, for the two people, or maybe just one, who actually listened to my Diddy commentary, so I heard that he won't plea bargain the case. He won't take a plea in this case that he is fighting against the federal government. So normally, if you are a defendant in a criminal matter, sometimes it makes sense, I think, to take a plea deal, which is you plead to one of the lesser offenses, because typically when you are indicted, there's more than one charge, right, against you. So the prosecution may agree to drop the worst charge or one or two of the charges, and you plead to a lesser charge, and that would have an impact on your sentencing and so on and so forth. In this case, I mean, Diddy is facing a minimum, I think, of 15 years to life in prison if he is convicted on all of the charges, especially the RICO charge. And so someone in his position, especially with all of the civil cases coming out, I mean, I've heard there's even a class action suit. It might have behooved him to consider a plea deal because, to be perfectly honest with you, I think the RICO charge was thrown in to force him to plead to one of the lesser charges in the case, because I don't see how, if my understanding of RICO is correct, and it may not be correct, but if it is correct, I don't see how the prosecution proves every element of RICO beyond a reasonable doubt in this particular case with these particular set of facts. But I could be wrong, right? So my bet is that, or my hunch is that the prosecution threw in the RICO case because they felt that it would force Diddy, because he's so terrified of life in prison. Because I mean, the feds do have um, apparently over 90% success rate in RICO cases, and frankly, any of their cases that they bring against a potential defendant. So it's a scary thing to be in this position when you're someone like Sean Diddy Combs. So in some circumstances, or maybe in most circumstances, it probably would make sense for him to take a plea, a lesser plea in the case. However, the prosecution has to offer a plea, and it is not clear that the prosecution offered him any plea deals in this case. Typically, the prosecution would offer a plea if indeed the prosecution knows or feels that there's a likelihood that they could lose the case, right? So they haven't, to my knowledge, offered any pleas, which is not a good sign for Diddy. But Diddy's lawyer apparently came out and said that notwithstanding that his client is innocent, and that his client is not going to be pleading guilty to anything. He's going to trial. He's taking this to trial, etc., etc., etc. I mean, what do I think about that? Look, girls, boys, I am not an expert on this stuff. I know nothing about criminal law. So all of this is just my, my ramblings, really. I mean, I think, yeah, go to trial on this one. Go to trial, and even if you lose, you can appeal, because the RICO case, I don't see how. I mean, even if he had 2 guns, 10 guns in his house, um, I don't know that they were not registered. We have a Second Amendment. And B, that's not proof that he was selling guns for a profit, right? And certainly with the other stuff, there was no profit motive there. So I don't see a RICO case, right? I think that RICO case is bogus, as I said. And I said that with all due respect, right? Um, I think the biggest problem for Combs is going to be finding an impartial jury, because most people, especially those in the African American community, believe he's guilty because for years and years they've heard about all of these filthy parties that he had at his places, his homes in the Hamptons, in Miami, wherever. And, people in this kind of world where they follow the music and the culture and they consider this to be black culture, because I don't consider, what these people are doing to be black culture in the first place. But don't tell anybody I said that. I could be canceled. But, for me, this whole idea that these people are the definers of what black is and what black culture is, and how black people should behave and speak and live, and I mean in particular black women, and the lyrics of their songs against black women who themselves within this world seem to embrace this music. I mean, yeah, I'm not going to profess to understand any of it, right? But you know, as I said, I don't see him as being somebody who defines anything, but at the same time, I don't think he's going to get a fair trial with the very people or very group of people who most embrace and identify with his music and lifestyle and that of all these other quote unquote rappers, right? Because they are the ones calling for his head, you know, on a silver platter more than anybody else, right? Most other people are just like, saying, what else is new, that kind of stuff. But, a lot of people in the black community are really calling for his head. I don't see how he gets an impartial jury. He would need people who don't know anything about rap and the whole quote unquote black culture that is defined by this music, and they're very few and far between. There's probably only one, and that's me. you know, so he's in big trouble with that. I don't see how he gets an impartial jury. And so trial is a risk for that reason, right? And then the more you have all these other lawsuits coming out, the civil suits. There was this one crying the other day. She hired Gloria. Oh my gosh, I've forgotten her name. She was a real, whatever. But she was crying, and I didn't want to think, oh my God, she seems like these seem like crocodile tears, because it would mean that I was, attacking a victim, and I don't want to do that. I mean, if somebody has been hurt, they've been hurt, but she just didn't seem authentic when she was crying, in my opinion. But the more these cases come out, now you have a class action and so on, is the less likely I think this man can get an impartial jury. And so trial is a risk. It's definitely a risk. And then you also have the sympatheticness that the victims would have, like especially Cassie. She's very pretty, she's very young. She's somebody that I think people would sympathize with. And the video of him beating her up in the hotel really didn't help. That video needs to not come in. How his lawyers will get that video to be excluded is a good question. I have no idea. I have no idea. But that video is so explosive and so prejudicial that it has poisoned the jury in all over the world. I mean, anybody who sees that video thinks he's guilty and that they should throw him in jail and throw away the key forever just for that video alone. They don't even care what RICO is and what it even means. So there's that. But yeah, I still think that ounce for ounce, I would I would go to trial as well. But I mean, again, my little disclaimer, I mean, this is all just, from a legal perspective, a constitutional perspective, a penal law perspective. Everybody has the, they're presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, right? They constitutionally are entitled to an impartial jury of their peers, etc., etc., etc. I'm only coming from that perspective and not from the perspective of sympathizing with this person and his lifestyle and the things that he has done or is alleged to have done, even if he did not commit a RICO crime, even if he did not commit any of the other, crimes that are mentioned in the indictment. it appears to me that he has led a lifestyle that really is repulsive and repugnant. Is the kind of lifestyle you lock your child, your sons and daughters away from people like this and his friends, because it wasn't just him, it's all of them, right? Him and his friends. I mean, I don't have a lot of respect for their lifestyle, but at the same time, I still think that even he is entitled to a good defense and his to all of his constitutional rights. And I want to see this case proven beyond a reasonable doubt before I'm on the bandwagon of lock him up and throw away the key. I want to hear the evidence. I want to hear the witnesses speak. If possible, I want to analyze those videos and then draw my conclusion after all of the facts have been presented. You know what I mean? So, yeah, so that's it for this one. See you in the next one. Take care. Bye.